This video will show the beginning steps in the process to model a hotel room from drawings in SketchUp. We will only concern ourselves with this area of the drawings. So here's SketchUp. I'm going to leave the person there for right now, but we're going to delete it just in the next few steps here. So we're going to make two rectangles. So R for rectangle, click a point, move it away, let go of the mouse, and type in 14'3", 20'10", enter. The rectangle should look about this big in relationship to the person. Click a point, move away, let go of your mouse, type in 4'9", space 5/8, 8'9", enter. I need a space between the 9 and the 5, otherwise there'll be a problem. If they look like that, you can get rid of the person. If they don't, I like the person there because then we know we got the right size. I've had people actually make this in inches, and it's like 14 inches. Like, yeah, no, it's not gonna work. By mistake, not on purpose, of course. And where to get the numbers from? I want you to always be aware the numbers are coming from somewhere. And so here in the floor plan, here's the big one. Now 14'3", 20'10", right? Here's 4'9" and 5/8. 4'9" and 5/8. And then for the other direction, the 8'9", I had to take this 9'7" dimension, add 6 1/8, and subtract 10, and then work these numbers, and then to get the thickness here with this another 6 1/8, and in the end, I got the number 8'9". So now the next thing is I need to have some tape measure line, because these two rooms interact with each other a specific way. So T for tape measure, click on this edge and come in 2'4", space 7/8, enter. And that came from here, right? Here's it is, 2'4", 7/8. It's from this wall to this edge. So that's where this little vestibule piece is going to slip in. Double click to select this piece here. M for move, I'm going to grab this corner here, click, I'm going to put it right here, click. Select the whole thing and just kind of move it like there in relationship to the the axes, move it like in this orientation. I like to get in the habit of getting things close to that orientation. You can delete the guidelines, just erase the guideline, you don't need them anymore. I like to delete the guidelines as I go. Next thing we're going to do is create the guides for the walls. So it's going to look like this when we're done, all right? So this wall here in the hallway, so the wall here that goes to the hallway is 6 1/8. That's 6 1/8. So 6 space 1/8. This wall over here off the room is 1 foot. And the reason is 1 foot, there's a column here. So the column, so they made it fat so that it goes around the column. And the outside wall, this outside wall here is 1 foot as well. So it's 1 foot here, 1 foot here, 6 1/8, 6 1/8 down here. And then this wall here around the bathroom is 4 7/8. And we see that number right there. See 4 7/8. So looking at this drawing, tape measure tool, and let's kind of go with me. Take a look here. So click on this outside line, click and go away from the piece in the green, 1 foot. Click on this line here, click and go away in the red, 1 foot, and press enter. This line here, take a look at this one. This one here, click and drag away, again, away from the main space, 4 space 7/8, enter. And this one here, click and go this way, 4 space 7/8, enter. And this front one, click here and go away from that shape, 6 space 1/8, enter. And we're not going to do this side because I'm going to give it to you. L for line. And by the way, I'm going to do these shortcuts, the keyboard shortcuts, get in the habit because they really speed you up. L for line. I'm going to start back here and work my way to the front. I can do it the other way around, but I'm going to do it this way. Click on this back corner, click, and then go in the green. Make sure you're not going in the blue. Don't go up in the blue by mistake. You want to go in the green. If necessary, hit the left arrow key on the keyboard. Left is green, right? And then click on this outside line here. Click. And then go across to this intersection, click, and go across to the other intersection, click, to the front, click, click. And when you get to this front one, take a look here a second, take a look. Make this front one hover, 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 and then move away slowly and click. And then go back to the vestibule and click. When you go all the way around, you should enclose it. It should become an enclosed shape. Then on this little piece here, I'm gonna do the rectangle tool, R for rectangle. I'm gonna click this point here, click, and go to this point over here, click. Could I have done a line tool and went like this, line here, here, and here? Sure. But rectangles are faster. L for line, I'm gonna do one line from here to here, click, click. I draw that line in there, from there to there, and that's in this corner right here. And then I'm gonna do push-pull, but with control. So P for push-pull, and tap the control key. You should get a little plus next to that arrow. Click here and go up, type in 9 foot. Click here and go up, type in 9 foot. And on this outside one, click and go up 8 foot. I can tap the control key. I don't need to push pull with control anymore. So I can tap the control key off. Click on this end here, click, and come all the way across to here, click. Because that wall goes all the way across like that. And by the way, we got that from the drawings in here, see, plus 8 foot, plus 9 foot. So now I'm going to use the eraser tool. I'm going to erase this edge here, this one right there, this top one. So E for erase. And I'm also going to erase this one down here. Don't use control on this. It's not control erase. We're not softening that edge. We're erasing that edge. We're getting rid of the edge altogether. So your model should be cleaned up now, looking something like this. Let's go ahead and get rid of the guidelines. I like to clean up as I go. And a quick way of doing it is go to Edit, Delete Guides. Edit, Delete Guides. You can erase each one individually if you want, but Edit, Delete Guides really works much better when you have a lot of lines to get rid of. Now is a good time to save the file. We've done some work and it's nice to save periodically. Let's go File, Save As, and you're going to put it in what? Your SketchUp folder, right? Call it Hotel with your initials on it. And now if the power goes out on us, if something happens, the internet breaks down, who knows? At least to this point it's saved. So now I want to put the baseboard on this model. And I could do a couple of different ways. One, I can actually draw the line, right? I can do a line command and draw all the way around. Or I can select the edge of the floor and copy it up. Double click to select the floor and its edge. Hold down the Shift key and click the floor once. The Shift key either adds or subtracts from a selection. So all you now have is a blue line around the perimeter, right? M for move, and tap the control key. Just tap the control key. So your move must have a little plus next to it. Click on one of the corners here like this one, click, and go up in the blue and type in 4, press enter. Could I have drawn around the perimeter? No problem, yes, but it takes more time and more clicks. This is fast. 2 clicks, Shift click, 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 done. Now I'm going to select this line right here. This one right here, see? That's floating in space. It's just not doing it. It's just floating in space. Select it, delete. And then this one, select, delete. Now I want to make components of the different pieces I have so I can work with them individually. Orbit to the underside. This will look something like this. Double click to get the bottom, but I also want to click the bottom of the walls. See, I'm selecting them all. So I double click to get one and hold down the shift key and select the other ones, or the control key, right? So everything's kind of dotted up, little dots everywhere. Right click, make component. Let's call this component floor. And please make sure that this is selected here. If it's already clicked, don't click it again. It's already selected. Hit create. So it should look like this now. When you click on the floor, you should just have a bounding box. And it should be inclusive of these walls under the walls. Triple click the top. Now, if you can't triple click very well, you can do a window, but you need to deselect the floor. The floor can't be selected. Right click, make component, and call it walls. So now you've got two components, walls and floor. I made these components as I went along the way so that they don't stick together, right? Let's make one more piece, the ceiling. R for rectangle. I'm going to click this corner here, click, go over to this corner over here, click, and same thing here, click, click. Now the problem with the ceiling is that we're doing the interior, right? We're actually remodeling the interior. So the front face is facing up. That's not what we want. We want the front face facing the interior. So I'm going to select, right click, reverse faces, select, right click, reverse faces. So now the front face is facing inside. Okay. And actually on the floor, double click the floor and right click reverse faces too. The floor should be the light color as well. So I'm going to double click to select this one, hold down the control key, double click to select this one. Right click, make component, ceiling. So we can click the floor separate, the walls separate, the ceiling separate, and we have these separate components. So double click to get inside the ceiling component, T for tape measure. And we're going to do these. Remember, we have a soffit over the bed, and we've got a channel for the track that kind of raises up higher. Let's take a look at that a second. So looking at the reflective ceiling here, this reflective ceiling plan, here's that piece there over the bed. It's 12 feet long by 3'6". And this up here, although it's not noted, I think I have it 10 inches. So here, hover here, click, go across, type in 10, enter. So that's the outside wall, right? That's our outside wall. Here, click here, come across, type in 12 feet, enter. Right, because it's 12 feet from this wall. It's 10 inches from this one. And then this inside, 3'6", enter. Now we're inside the component, right? And if we're not, that's okay, but get inside the component for the next steps. I'm gonna do R for rectangle. I'm gonna click this corner here, click to this corner here, click. And the same thing on this other side here. Click to this one here, click. They could have been done with a line tool. Let's go to edit, delete guides. It looks something like this. This end here is going to go down, right? This piece here is going to go down into the space, and this piece here is going to go up from the space, right? Because look at this. This is at 9'6". Well, this is a 9 foot, and that's 9'6". This is at 7'6". You know. So this one will push pull up 6, right? Because if that's 9 foot, you got to go up another 6 inches. This back one, I'm going to push pull down 1'6". Because what? 7'6" is the height of that area. So 9 foot minus 1'6" is 7'6". Here, you're getting this funny, if you orbit, you can see this funny thing going on with this back area of this piece. What's happening is that because they're two separate components, when you push pull this down, it created a surface there. And the computer's saying, well, what do you want to show me? This one? Or do you want to show this one? or do you want to show this one? Which surface do you want me to show you? Because they're both exactly on top of each other. And so when you see that, that means you've got two things touching each other. And I like to clean it up. I like to clean up, only get rid of one of them. I don't need that. So I'm going to use E for erase. I'm going to erase this back corner right in here, like that. Just kind of click. I just click and drag these last three corners. See that? Because if I click and drag here, I get all three of them in a row. Boop. The other ones I want, right? They're not doing that. They call it Z fighting, but you know, they're not doing that kind of bouncing back and forth like that. This outside one, kind of a little different, but kind of the same. See these lines here, this one here and here, and over here. I don't really want that in the ceiling component because it's not really ceiling. It's going to be wall. I'm going to adjust my wall, but right now I got to get rid of it. So I'm going to just erase. Click and drag here, and click and drag here. So it should look something like this. Now our ceiling is flat as a pancake, and so is our floor. But if we were doing a section through this, I'd put some thickness to these things. It's just not going to be important. What we're doing is not going to be important for the floor and the ceiling, so I'm going to leave them flat. One last thing on our ceiling to clean it up or to make it more match is that this soffit isn't one big massive soffit. If you remember, they had like this little lip around the perimeter, just kind of this little kind of design. And so I'm going to use the tape measure tool. Click here, go up in the blue, 6, enter. Click here, go up in the blue, 6, enter. And I can just do the line tool. Go from here to the intersection, and this to the other side of here. So I went from here, back up, and then back over. I will use the push-pull tool. Click here and go in 8. And click here and go in 8. So from this outside edge, I went in 8 on both sides. And then notice when we push pulled, we got these extra lines in there. If you zoom up carefully, you'll see these extra lines in here. Like there's a line here and there's the lines here. Just erase them. Erase this line here and erase this line here. Same thing over here. See over here? There's some lines here. Okay, and then go to edit, delete guides. So get rid, there's a line here, you erase that line there, erase this line here, right? And then there's one on top. You have to zoom in kind of carefully, and there's one on top here. Okay, hit the space bar to go back to the select tool and click out of that ceiling component and double click into the wall component. And I'm gonna draw a line right here. Just break that top surface. Make sure the line's in the red. Push pull up this 6 inches so it matches the top. So you see my wall's going up, and that's better than having that little nip on top there because I want that wall paint, you know, whatever wall finish is on the inside to come up that face all the way up, and that really is the wall. So at this point, it looks something like this. You got the ceiling with a little step up going on. We've got the floor here. We've got baseboard. If we were going to build this thing with the right thicknesses of the floor for some reason, it should look like this. But we're just doing the interior of the room. It's going to be a little easier not to have that thickness to deal with. Okay, it's not wrong. I'm just saying we don't need that. We're just doing one room. I've seen this happen sometimes when people have like a balcony overlooking another floor. They forget that thickness of the balcony. It's like, no, you got to give some thickness there. So always remember there's some thickness going on there. All right. The next part of this lecture is talking about tags. Before this year they changed what was called layers. They changed it to be called tags now. This video is about layers, which is now tags, but all the stuff it says is exactly the same. So anytime it says layers, think tags. Additionally, the original first layer was called layer 0. Our first layer is now called untagged. So when they say put everything on layer 0, basically put everything on a layer called, a tag called untagged, all right? But other than that, the video is pretty good and it's worth watching. So to see the tags, you go to Window, default tray, and tags should be selected. As a matter of fact, if you have a moment, just select all of these. We're going to be using them off and on anyways. And then I also like to have all of these condensed. In other words, open them up as I need them, only as I need them. Otherwise, shrunk up like this. That way they're all there. I can click them quickly and get to them quickly without having a problem. And tags should be open. Notice it doesn't say layer 0. So if I say open in one of these panels, it means make the triangle face downward and expand the piece. Untagged is the layer 0 they're talking about. You want everything in an untagged layer. You didn't know it, but we've been using it. That's how we've been doing it. Since we have not made new layers, everything's been done untagged. Then make it a component. Make it a component. So all these pieces, and make it a component, and then make a layer and put that component in that layer. Now make a layer, put the component in the layer. Okay. And so we're gonna make these. Excuse me. If I say layer, I mean tags too. This is the first year we have tags, so I gotta get used to it. Make these tags: ceiling tag, floor tag, furniture tag, walls tag. All right. We're needing all these different tags. So hit the plus sign here under the tags, hit the plus sign, that makes a new thing. So if you ever see plus in SketchUp, that's something new, right? You can have to look at the graphics. And that tag is going to be, call it, let's start with ceilings. Plus floor, walls. Okay, ceiling, floor, furniture, walls. And your color might be slightly different than my color. There's no real magic to the color. We can change them. We can actually click in there and change that color. For this purposes, it's fine the way it is. So we make everything in untagged, and we made the tags. And we're going to do it 2 different ways to put the items in the tags. The first one click on the ceiling. And then over here in your tag manager, select ceiling. And then click away. So if you remember the video said that you select the component and go up to the tag manager and put it in the tag you want it to be. So if I click on this, if I click on the ceiling once, it should say ceiling up there. If I click away, it should say untagged. Notice here on the side, we have visibility. So the ceiling here, if I don't want it to be visible, I can click on that eyeball and it's no longer visible. Click on the eyeball, make it visible again. And that's gonna be handy because we'll be making the 4th wall to this room. So to get inside the room, we gotta make things visible and invisible, right? So we can get around it. Also notice the pencil is on untagged. You always want this pencil, this is the active layer. You always want that pencil to be there. If it ends up down here somewhere, by mistake, it got switched. You never want it there. You never want to draw things on a layer. You want to draw on a tag that is not untagged. You always want the untagged layer to be the active layer at all times. So one way is to select the item, select the component, and go and change it this way. The other way of putting it on the correct layer is to select the item again, but to go right-click Entity Info. So we only one click to select, then Entity Info. And the Entity Info dialog box shows up over here. So one click, right-click Entity Info over here. And then here for tag, select walls. So it's already defined as walls. See, it says walls, that's the definition. It's already defined as walls. But here under the tag, change that to walls as well. And the floor, you do your own way. Either do it by the pull down or by the Entity Info. It doesn't matter to me. But put that on the floor layer. The floor, if you click on it once, it should say floor. Click on the walls once, it should say wall. Click on the ceiling once, it should say ceiling. And so let's go ahead and save this now. So we're going to go ahead and locate the door This is the bathroom area. Remember, this is the bathroom area. We're going to locate the door, and it goes in there. And looking at the plan, the architectural plan, we see the restroom doors right here, and it's 4 inch 7/8 from the outside corner, and then 2 foot 8, and then 2 foot 10 and a half. I'm going to go inside the component. Go inside the component. The wall component. The ceiling and the floors are going to be grayed out. T for tape measure, and hug this edge. Click. Come across in the green. Type in 4 space 7/8. Enter. And then click this line here, click, come across, 2 foot 8, enter. And then this line, click, come across, 2 foot 10.5, enter. There you go, that works too. And I got them from this PDF, right? 4 7/8, 2 foot 8, 2 foot 10 and a half. 4 7/8, 2 foot 8, 2 foot 10 and a half. I typed in 2 foot 10.5, enter. And the height of the door is in the first page. We see it's 7 foot 1 1/4 to the height of the frame. Do you see that? 7 foot 1 1/4 to the height of the frame. All right. So tape measure up, 7 foot space 1/4, enter. We are inside the wall component. By the way, if you're not inside the wall component right now, you can go in right now. It doesn't matter if the tape measure lines are in it or outside of the wall component. It's just the next step has to be inside the wall component. Then inside the wall component, do a rectangle from here to here. That breaks that wall surface, so we can then pull that back. And this bottom piece here, I'm not going to be able to get very easily one time. There'll be a line left over. So I just do eraser tool and just click and drag down. And there's a line here on the floor. There's a line here on the floor you want to erase as well. Now this line here is in the floor component. That's a whole different ball of wax. But right now, there will be a one in this wall component. Just get rid of it. So I put my doors and windows in the wall component because when I don't want a wall visible, I probably don't want that door visible either. Otherwise, you have this like the floating window or the floating door. It's kind of weird. So, okay. Again, let's get rid of our guides. Edit, delete guides. We don't need them anymore for what we're doing. All right. So in the lecture, it says, we've been making a lot of models from scratch. But honestly, there's a lot of them in several different places online. You can get models and stuff. And so there are many ways to bringing other models into our project. So one of them is using window default tray component. One is copying and pasting. One of them is clicking and dragging. One's a 3D warehouse, and one is file import. And between this lecture and the next lecture, we'll do all 5 different ways of doing it. And in the future, it doesn't matter which way you do. Whatever you find convenient or helpful to you is fine for me. But I want you to be aware of the things, of the different ways of doing it. Okay, so the first one is going to be window default tray. Window default tray components. Window default tray components. And if you click on the home button, this little home button, it tells you everything in the model. And so we're seeing ceiling, floor, we're seeing the Lara component, walls. So they're all here. They're all here. And here, this little blank that says 3D warehouse. If you type something in here, you can get into the 3D warehouse. And I want you to type in internal doors. So type that in there, press enter, and it goes into the 3D warehouse, which is the repository of different models. And it shows you different models that are named that way. If you scroll on down, you'll see there's one by Alan W. I think it's Alan W. Internal doors. If not, you might try again. Well, I'm not looking.
I don't, so I have a Mac and I do not have the default tray option. I do have a component options or component attributes. So I might have to research that.
Well, you have this button here.
Which one? Sorry. Yes, 3D warehouse. Okay.
Click on that, and it's going to be the same. We'll be doing this next class, so you'll be doing it ahead of the game. If you click on the words, it'll go to the 3D warehouse page. If you click on the picture, it will download into your model. And when it does, it'll be a bunch of doors. And I want you to be inside the wall component. If you're not, don't worry about it yet, but make sure that I'll tell you when to worry about it. But most of us are inside the wall component still, and we've just brought them in. There's some things about this that you are in common when you download someone else's model. So we got these doors. They're nice doors, a lot of doors there with a lot of different features, but I only want one of them, only this last one here. So double click to get into that component set and click on that one door, it gets selected. Then I'll go to edit, copy. So now I've copied this one door component out of this whole group of door components because I want to get it out of it. I want to get out of all these other components. Now I'll click out of it. I'm still inside the wall component. Look at this. This is the bounding box for the wall component. I'm still inside the wall component, but I'm not inside the door component. Edit, paste, and put it out here. So just plop it there for right now. And then select this group and delete. So we should have this door component, just that one door component inside the walls component. So double click to get inside the door component, and we'll get rid of stuff we don't need. For example, we don't need this closer. So double click again, double click twice, and click on the closer and delete. Double click again to get to the kick plate. And when you double click on the bottom, you'll get into this area right in here, this component, and then just go ahead and delete, just kind of delete these pieces. Oops, not the door. Do the other side too. The other side has this kick plate. The kick plate's not bad, but we're just not going to have it in this project. This project does not have a kick plate, nor does it have a closer on the bathroom door. It should look like this on this side and this on this side. It should be nice and clean, just a door. And we're inside this door component once. So when you get models for 3D warehouse, sometimes you have to clean them up to match your project. Double click again, and double click again, and double click again until you finally get dots all over the door. In other words, we're down to the raw model now. We're down to the actual parts and pieces that make up the door. One thing I find very curious is they have a kick plate and they have the closer as different components, but the door they just have as door, and the handle just handle. In other words, if I click on the handle, it's a bunch of little dots too, which is kind of weird. So I'm going to do a window like this. Select and click and drag from left to right. Click and drag from left to right, and then right click, make component, call it handle. And the reason I want to use this window feature is because there's another handle on the other side. You should have gotten both of them that way. And that's what we want. We want both handles become one component called handle. So the door is a bunch of dots. If you click on it, the handle has been turned into a component called handle. All right. So click out of it, 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 click out of it until you're inside the wall component, and you can just click the whole door all at once component. So what is going on with this door? So the door, when you go into it, you brought it in, right? When you go into it, you get the frame group, then there's a door group, inside of a door group, inside a door component, inside of another door component, and then there's a door. That's too much clicking. I'm not sure how this person got so many clicks happening here, or so many different pieces. Typically, I like the door to be a component, the handle to be a component, and the frame to be a component inside of a door component altogether, right? So I usually call it door slab, door frame, door handle, and then door, the whole thing. So I want to get rid of some of these. And one way to get rid of components that we don't want is to explode. You can explode a component. But we got to be careful how we do this because we don't want to get rid of the stuff we do want. Or if we go too far, we have to redo it, okay? Double click once on the door. So now you're inside the door component, and you should be able to click on the frame. The frame should be a component, and the door should be a component right now. Right click, explode. We got rid of one miscellaneous component. Right click again, explode. Right click again, explode. Right click again, explode. And also the door becomes dots. You've gone far enough. Good, stop. We're good. We've gotten to where we need to go. Now, we could keep the door a component with the handle, or we could just explode to this point. That's your call on that one. In other words, I can undo one step back. I can do one step back so that last door handle component is one piece unto itself. And if you double click one more time, then you get to that. So now, when you get out, you click on that, double click. There's a door component and a frame component. Double click the door component, there's a handle component. So can we all do that? Or do you still have some extra layers into this thing? All right. So now we've got the door and the components kind of making sense in the model. We got rid of the doors we're not going to be using in this model. This all happens when you download other people's files. You'll be getting all sorts of things. But now it comes in like this, and the door needs to go in that hole. So we got to rotate it first. Q for rotate, and I want to rotate in the blue. So hit the up arrow key. So now it's locked in the blue. I can't rotate any other way. I want it in the blue. I need to turn it. Click a point out here of the model. Click, and go across in the red. Click. That's that 0 angle or that beginning angle. Then go back this way. I want the handle going that way, outside in that orientation. And when it hits on green axis, you can click or type in 90 and press enter. Either way works. So now the door is in the right orientation. According to the drawing, that's where the hinge is in going to the bathroom. So before I put the door in the hole, I want to make sure it's the right size. So I'm going to orbit to underneath. Orbit to underneath. We'll get something like this. Then T for tape measure. And click from this end here, click to this end here. Click. And it should say squiggly line, 2'8", 15/16. So that squiggly line means it's approximately. It isn't 2'8", 15/16. It's about 2'8", 15/16. And actually, we want this to be 2'10.5", so it's not even what we need it to be. So I'm gonna make myself. I don't need this. They made a construction line on mine. I don't know if they made a construction line on yours, but So I want to make sure I'm inside the door component one click. I want to be able to and a click again. I want to be able to get into the frame. Only the frame. The door should be grayed out. The handle should be grayed out. The frame should be clickable. T for tape measure. Click out here. Like on this, your click, come across and type in 2 foot, 10.5, enter. The frame needs to be that big to match the drawings. So the door is nice, the door works and all that, but it's too small. Hit the space bar to get select mode. And now I'm going to do a window select. I'm going to go click and drag this way. From left to right, click and drag. And look, I've gone all the way out here, all the way over here. What that does, it gets me these parts here in its entirety, gets me these edges, which is great, but it doesn't get me this front piece or this over here or the top. It doesn't get any of these other pieces. It just gets me these. And then I'm going to use the move tool, M for move. I'm going to click this line here. I'm going to click this edge here, click, and go to the line, click. That takes care of the frame. Now we got to take care of the door. So I'm going to double click on the door. And if I need to go one more click into the door component, go into the door component. Otherwise, if you can select the door automatically, just push pull, and push pull it so it matches the width of the opening. You just push pull that edge over. You with me on that? So I just did push pull. click to pick up, and get over here, click to put down, and now the door is the right width. Hit the space bar and click out of it till you can hold the whole component one time. So we got the door the right width. The height's still off, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Select the door once, M for move, and click this bottom edge here, and move it into this hole. And you know what? I still have my tape measure line here, so I'm gonna go to Edit, Delete Guides. There. So your door should be flush with this edge here. The frame of the door should be flush with that edge right there. So you can see we have a hole at the top here, so you gotta make the door taller. So I'm gonna make the frame first and then the door. And the frame will do a little differently, but they're kind of the same, all right? So double click on the door and the frame, double click on the frame, and you should be inside the frame, but not the door. The door should be grayed out. We're gonna once again use the selecting, using the window select. I'm gonna click and drag like this, going from left to right. Then M for move, click the top of the door, click, and go all the way up to the top of the opening, click. And as for the door, I want you to triple click to get inside the door component. Triple click on the door component and use S for stretch. And click this top middle, that top middle, remember, click. And then click this right there, click. I'll do it again. So here's the deal. I didn't use push-pull. Take a look a second here. Take a look. If I use push-pull, look what happens. There's a funky line made if you use push-pull, right? It didn't happen horizontally, but it's happening vertically. So what I want to do is I want to stretch the whole thing, including the texture. So I'm going to triple click on it. And S for scale, or here's the scale tool. It looks like this. Click the middle center, click, and then click this up to this edge here, click. And basically I have stretched not only the door, but the pattern too. And the way this grain is oriented, it looks fine. It got a little stretched that direction. It could very well easily be the grain of a door. So let's orbit now to the other side. And you'll see that the frame isn't quite the right thickness. Okay, so the frame is not quite the right thickness because it needs to be lined up with the back of the door and the wall. I mean, the frame of the door, if you look on doorways, the frame is a whole width. So we need to adjust this frame as well. So double click again to the frame component. And I'm going to select this part of the frame. Hold down the control key and select the side here and this side here and this side over here. So these are the parts I want to basically move out. When I move them out, it'll make that door frame wider, which is what I want to happen. So I selected this edge here, selected this one, and this one. Then I use M for move. I'm going to click this point here, click, and go out to here, click. And basically, I've just made that frame wider, right? I took that detail of what is happening on the outside of the frame and just kind of moved it. When I moved it, I widened up the door. All right. So click out of the whole project and go ahead and save it. If you're at this point of the process, this is all you need to be at when we come to class next time.